Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Crazy Money. This is your host, Paul Ollinger, and I am happy that you are here with me today. You know, the news from the economic world is pretty bad right now, and it's probably going to stay bad for a while. In the words of Hank Williams Jr., the interest is up and the stock market's down. And that means we're all experiencing some degree, perhaps a large degree, of financial stress. To help us put it all in perspective is my guest this week, Ken Honda. Ken is known as Japan's Zen millionaire, and his book, Happy Money, has sold over 8 million copies worldwide. This is his second visit to Crazy Money. I'm happy to have him. And on it, we talk about what economic fear, uncertainty, and doubt can do to our health and our relationships, how we can maintain peace of mind when those around us are losing their minds, how to be a good spouse during times of financial trouble, the games that shame and guilt play with our minds, how inflation can actually help us get clarity around our priorities. And lastly, we talk about a few of the lessons from Japan's lost decades of economic stagnation. Ken is a really beautiful soul, and I always feel better after I speak with him. I know you will too. So take a few minutes to stop and breathe and listen to Ken's words. This is Ken Honda. Ken Honda, welcome back to Crazy Money.
All right. Yes. I love the title of the show.
Yeah, what do you like about it?
Because, we are living in a crazy world. I think Crazy Money seems like the right title for what's coming next.
Well, it's, money can make us crazy during the best of times.
That's so true.
We're in unique times today in a global, on the verge of what seems like a global recession. Inflation is up 8%. The stock markets are down. Bond market is terrible. I personally, and I know a lot of my friends and family are feeling a lot of fear, anxiety, and doubt about money. How can I keep things in perspective, Ken? How can I not let what's happening on the business page affect what's happening inside my heart?
Money pulls the best and the worst part of us. So money pulls out the best, most generous, powerful, loving part of you. And at the same time, money pulls out the worst in you. That's cold, mean, worrying, a lot of fear. So unless you're careful with what's going on inside or outside, you just become a victim of crazy money.
Well, what are the ways that, I can see how when things are good, we want more.
Mm-hmm.
But when things are bad, we experience emotions like fear and regret. And like, for example, I have fear about the future right now because it's, things are a lot more uncertain than they were a year ago. I have regret and self-doubt. I feel stupid about, what I could have or should have done to prepare for this. Things like that, those are just the flip side of greed, kind of. What can we do to help keep those things from taking us over?
Right now I'm writing my next book in English. It's called How to Stop Worrying About Money.
Oh, that's a great time. That everybody needs that. Everybody needs it.
Yeah, because that seems to be the most frequently asked questions these days, and I've been teaching people about this. So, I take a more about Zen approach. So I go deeper in essence. So take a look at your money worries or life worries, for example. You're convinced that you're going to have a bad future.
Mm.
Future without any money. And for some people, that doesn't bother them at all because, all the self-made millionaires and billionaires, they've been through that no money situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fun, but it didn't kill you. What kills you is worrying about the future. So no money situation, it's just a temporary situation. Maybe at certain month of your life, entire life, you may have no cash at the moment, but that doesn't mean that you end up being poor at the end of your life. So the biggest problem is the way you look is negative and you're convinced you're going that way. But if you're riding a bicycle, you feel like you're going to hit the wall. You keep looking at the wall and then you hit the wall. So you have to, change your focus to a brighter future. So think about it. you're convinced you're going to hit the wall. And that means that you're paying the interest of the money that you've never even borrowed. So in other words, we are paying the interest as worry or fear. So our important life force energy gets pulled out to the future. That's not even happened yet. So think about that. So it's almost like a debt we never owe, but we have to pay the interest in advance. How silly is that? So the reason why we are forced to look for the negative ones, it's our caveman type of mentality. We used to worry about certain things. That's what got us survive. The Stone Age, the dinosaurs and all the tigers and all the predators who ate our friends. So our
and
mind,
our enemies.
yeah,
They often ate our enemies too.
right. So our mind gets shifted to more negative ones. It's our instinct. It's in our genes. So we can prepare for the worst. But in a modern world, we don't have to worry that somebody's gonna, come with a big, stick, or lions are gonna eat you up. But worrying is like a natural state for us. So just imagine that it's almost like a tool for us to survive. So worrying is the natural state of our emotional mind. So, but in the modern world, we have to shift this focus to something which you like. Otherwise, we keep paying the interest. And then also, we are just convincing ourselves about the debt we never owed, but this is the debt I have to pay. So you're going to end up paying for that debt too.
So there's an evolutionary reason why we worry and we have fears. But what do you think the modern fear underlying economic worry is? Is it that I'm going to fear that I know I'm not going to run out of money. I know I'm not going to miss any meals. I'm not going to go hungry. My kids are going to be safe. But what's the worry? That I'll feel foolish, that I'll look foolish, that I'll feel like that I'll feel foolish? Are those the worries that are keeping me up at night and keeping a lot of us up at night?
Yeah, so when you focus, there's nothing in the essence of worry. It's a mist. So worry is just a mist or fog you cannot really touch. So when you try to go to the essence, you cannot see it. Am I worried that I look foolish? Probably not. Am I worried that I will run out of money? Probably not. So the bottom line is you are worrying about something that never exists. So once you really get this, I was worrying about the skeleton in the closet. I don't know, it's a Japanese expression. We worry that there's something, when you're small, that there's something in the closet. You're convinced.
Sure.
So when you open it, there's nothing, right? So it's like we worry that there is something in there. I know it. How do you know it? No, I can feel it. So that's what it is.
We talk on this program, and I think you and I even talked about this the last time we talked about your book, Happy Money, but we talk about the dangers of comparison. And the human tendency is usually that I compare myself to you, that I compare myself to my neighbor, and I judge my happiness or my success based on how am I doing relative to him or her. But I realized the other day that when the stock market goes down 25 or 30% in a year, I'm comparing myself to what my numbers were a year ago.
Yes.
And that's not healthy either. I had enough then and I still have enough, but I don't feel quite as good about myself as I did a year ago, even though everybody's valuation has come down. How do I get away from that? It's usually the other guy that I got to worry about comparing, but now it's me in the mirror.
Yes, because, say you got the score of like 45, and then, oh, damn, I did so bad. I did so poorly. And when you look around, your friends are having like 32 or 12, that makes you feel good, right? Because
Right.
you're much higher than the
Yeah.
other guys who are just having 23, 12, and they seem pretty happy. So your score is 45, and last year is 75. And so, it's just numbers. What makes you think you're better or worse? For example, I upgraded my phone, iPhone,
Mm-hmm.
to the small ones. So this is bigger but old. This is smaller and new. So they look identical, right? So, but some people say my phone is bigger, and this one is that I'm iPhone 14. I'm way better than you. So, like, what's the comparison? Do you want to compare with the size? Do you want to compare with what's inside? So it's interesting. Like your hair. People compare with each other about how much you make or how much you have. But how about the hair? I have the longest hair in my neighborhood, right?
I don't like that comparison. See, that's not good.
For example, or
The people on our YouTube channel can see how little hair I have.
the other way around, because bald people are very sexy. So I'm the sexiest guy in the neighborhood. So which criteria do you want to apply? Or I wear glasses. I'm better. I'm smarter. So I have better teeth. So I have better ears. I don't know which body parts you want to compete with, but that's how I'm too excited. And so, it's up to you. And I think, and I hope money will just become numbers soon. I ask people, do you know how many gallons or how many liters of water you spent last month of September or August? No, not many people know. They know, the people with good numbers, they know how much they paid, but they don't know how many liters, how many gallons. And also with the electricity, they know how much they paid, but they don't know how many watts, how many kilowatts they spent. So we haven't even paid much attention to the kilowatts and liters and gallons. It's because we are not interested. So in the future, I think we're going to use money, but that doesn't affect you emotionally. But since we're so tied up with our self-worth with money, and I think, and I hope this is cultural, because some other cultures outside of North America, people don't tie so much with their self-worth. For proof, I attended my reunion for my high schools, like 30 years, and also my college buddies. And we casually tell each other how much we're making. And we say, oh, wow, banking is good. And we kind of like, oh, that's nice, So this dinner is on you, so we just talk about those. But in North America, at a college reunion, if somebody asks you, Paul, how much are you making? It's going to, wow, well, you ask me that question, right? You're going to really.
$23,000 a year. That's what.
Yeah. So, people just get freaked out because you don't do that. But it's a cultural thing.
Asian culture is more upfront about talking openly about who makes how much and how much they spend on certain things, right?
Yes. So, and it's almost like what's the weather in Baltimore? What's the weather in California?
Yeah.
So it's very casual. But the funny thing is, sexual issues are more taboo in Asia.
Right.
So if you get shocked by being asked how much money you make, you can, counterattack them about their sex life. Ask about them. They feel the same reaction. So it's a cultural thing. So money is so tied up with a self-worth. So if you cut the link between you and your money, I think you don't have to worry about it. So
how do we do that?
It's you have to focus on what's more important than the numbers in the bank account. So what's important, I teach about visible assets and invisible assets. Last weekend, I talk about a future of money. It's in Japanese. Visible assets is stocks and bonds and real estate and gold and cars and all those things. The assets you
Tangible.
can touch. Yeah, tangible assets. And the invisible assets is something that you cannot touch, but you can feel. It's about trust, friendship, love, and generosity, kindness. Those are invisible assets, and people appreciate it highly, but they don't think about it every day. But the biggest number one hobbies or pastime for millions and billionaires are attending a soccer game or football game for their grandkids. They're not necessarily going to the most expensive dinners and concerts. Their favorite is attending to their grandkids' soccer game. So how cool is that? So we, in fact, highly appreciate our invisible assets, which is bonding in our family members, brotherhood, sisterhood, your friendship. But we are so focused right now to money, we tend to forget. So if we focus more on invisible assets, and then you lose interest in money. I think we are almost obsessed with money, and in 30 or 40 years time, people will not get it why we're so obsessed with numbers. 400 years ago, we were so obsessed probably with how close we are to God. Or, maybe many years ago, maybe it's something else, how close to the king or your royalty, as a chivalry or as a farmer or whatever that is. So we are so addicted to money. It's just a form of addiction because we keep thinking about it.
It seems like challenging times, when things get hard, it's even that much more important to stop and reflect and focus on those things, right? Yes. And maybe this is an opportunity that when inflation happens and something I used to pay $1 for now costs me $1.25, I have to stop and say, of all the things I could spend this money on, is this what gives me the most joy? Yes. Which is actually a good exercise to go through.
Exactly, Paul. So I think we're experiencing something very, very interesting and exciting, at least for me, because with what's going on, we have to really think about our relationship with money, and those things. Do I need it? Do I need this? Do I need that? And then you will start asking. Probably I don't need this, but I really need this. So it just shifts, transforms your priorities in life. What's the most important? And when you think about it, maybe I don't need 2 cars. Maybe I can let go of the other house. Maybe I can move to a smaller place. Whatever that is, we can really shift our mind to what's most important. And I hope we're going to shift more even from tangible assets to invisible assets, because that brings us joy. And that brings us back to where we want to be. Otherwise, we keep needing 2 boats, 3 boats, helicopters, private jets, and 4 more houses. Maybe 5. They don't even know how many houses they have, right? Yeah. So instead of going for more, you have to shrink in a healthy way.
Now, nobody knows how long the recession we're almost certainly headed for is going to last. But if you look back to the late 80s and early 90s in Japan, when a decades-long stagnation occurred, how old were you, by the way, in 1990?
So I'm 55. So I was in college. So I witness exactly what everybody in the world is going to go through, because I witnessed for the past 30 years.
What was that like?
So all the people who are super positive started to lose confidence. I remember when I was in my 20s, the mentors who are making, who are billionaires, just in a matter of 3 years, from billionaires to almost zero. And I was so sad when they asked, when I saw my mentor ask for some loan to the younger people, and I was so shocked. So that's what we're gonna go through. So all the people who used to have more, that got that pulled them down. So like if you say you have 3 houses, you used to be rich, but 3 houses could be pulling you down. So the bigger the asset, the heavier you get. So the people without any money sort of won, because they had no debts. So the people with debts are going to experience a lot of downtime, but which is good because it really brings us down to why we are born and what's the meaning of life. So we're going to go more inside, and we're going to go deeper and start searching for the meaning of life.
Did the way people treat each other change as the stagnation became a permanent thing?
Yes, definitely.
And what did that look like?
Definitely, the people with the highest assets and highest debt were worshipped. The guy who had like 2,000 condominiums, but so much debt, was worshipped because he's got like $3 billion or something. But then the asset shrunk, but the debt never shrunk. So he was a huge he had a huge debt, but he had so much asset, so he was a billionaire. But in three years, all the assets shrunk, and then he still had the same amount of debt. So in a year or two, he had to file bankruptcy. So the people who were risk takers were worshipped, but in a matter of 5 years, all those people who took risk were kind of looked down, like they were greedy people. That's why they got to where they were, and the people who were clean with money, who didn't go after buying 2 houses and 3 houses and 4 houses, they were regarded as smart people. So in the going up economy, the people who take risks get worshipped, and when you go down, the risk takers are sort of like slaughtered by the stock market and the real estate market. So if you are positive risk takers, you have to warn yourself what's coming ahead.
So maybe we shouldn't give them so much glory while things are on the ascendancy, and maybe we should be a little kinder to them when things are going down.
Yeah, so one of my joy was to entertain those who kind of like went down. I cheer them up by just treating them nice dinners, because in my youth they were my heroes. So but I was feeling so sad because they were going down. But at the same time, I could learn the wisdom, and also I could learn their experiences. But the mentality wise, they're like bigger, the better, the more, was not really going well with the economy and the age.
Families and couples are going to go through a lot of stress when the economy turns down. What advice would you give them to maintain strong relationships during troubled times?
You're in the same boat, but when the economy is bad, we do crazy things, as you already know. We're in say, for example, if you're married, you're in a small boat, but you're so upset because your husband or wife is drilling a hole by just buying expensive cosmetics or just going out, hanging around with your friends. And they'll tell each other, you cannot do that. You're just ruining our financial boat. So and you're drilling down the boat and say, oh, it's just $30, $100. No, you're drilling the boat. It's gonna we're gonna get a lot of water from if you just keep drilling. No, you're drilling bigger holes. So just you have to remember you're in the same boat and you have to cooperate one another. But oftentimes you start blaming one another for doing things wrong. Instead, you have to realize you're in this together, and then you have to go through. To do that, you have to sort of like, cut yourself and get all the extra fat out of your life, which could be the second home or more expensive cars or whatever the fancy stuff you have in your house. You have to keep letting go of stuff to get to get going. So going time is harder.
One of the reasons why we fight about money is because money is an expression of the values that we were raised with and the experiences we had when we were kids. And by definition, everybody comes to marriage with different values and different experiences.
Yes.
What are some of the things that the narratives or the stories around what we brought to the marriage from our youth? What are some of the themes we should look out for and be respectful of in our partners?
I do a lot of fun exercise or couple counselings in front of 1,000 people.
That's got to be stressful for them.
This is so juicy, like whoever wants to, come up with to the stage. So the other day, there's a couple, and she said, "Ken, I'm here. So for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to decide if I'm going to get a divorce with him or not." I'm like, "Oh, what?"
That's a lot of pressure.
They're on a stage, and then usually just she talks about certain things, always complaining about one another, and guys and women, we think differently. So certain cost can be justified, like guys complaining that the cosmetics that is supposed to take off all the wrinkles, they're not doing anything, but it's like $150, stuff like that. So it's very brutal attack. And I just tell them, hold on, be quiet. Who's telling that? And who's telling that? And they realize in a matter of minutes that it's not them. It's about their parents saying. So it's almost like a proxy war. It's this family, and this family comes from a wealthy family. This wife comes from a poor background. So she felt like a Cinderella when they got married. So she was super happy. But this guy comes from a wealthy background, but he's very stingy in her eyes. So Cinderella was complaining that her princess doesn't allow certain life expenses. So, there's this fight between two families. And there's a lot of shame and guilt about where they come from. So I asked them to talk about the shame and embarrassment with each other and also with your own family. And she said, "I feel so ashamed of my background. My parents were poor. So I was always afraid in front of your parents, parents-in-laws, that I may be looked down because I come from poor background." So they cried, they hugged, and they decided not to get divorced. But if you can really let it out, let all the shame out and the guilt out of your system, you can have a strong bond. But you have to be courageous to do that. It takes a lot of courage. It's almost like taking off your clothes. And it's so embarrassing for some people. But unless you spit it out, what kind of fear, anxiety, and guilt and shame around money, you cannot really connect with your partner or friends. So I hope you do that with your best friends at least. Because, American friends, I really respect the friendship so much, but somehow around the money issues, American best friends don't seem to talk about it. So do that.
That's true. That's very true.
More bonding. So I assure you, if you're best friends forever, just talk about money. Well, I think you have enough talk about sex. So
I've been best friends with my best friend for 35 years, and the reason our relationship works is because I don't know anything about him.
Yes, in a sense.
That's why it's perfect. It's a perfect male relationship. We have no idea what's going on in each other's head.
Because that way you don't have to feel the competition and all that, right? So, but if you just want to go deeper, talk about that, and still, you don't have to talk about the numbers.
Sure.
Because the feelings are the same.
You mentioned how the woman in this couple had shame because she came from a less well-off financial background. Where does guilt come from? I'm Catholic. I was raised Catholic, no longer Catholic, but was raised Catholic. And guilt is a very strong emotion in the family, in the Catholic family tradition. Where does guilt and money get all mixed up?
Yes, this is my forte because, I'm a Japanese, but I went to a Jesuit school. So
Okay.
I know,
There you go.
I know what guilt is all about, and in a fun way. So guilt does certain things, and guilt makes you small, and guilt makes you hide, and guilt makes you shameful. And those things are what guilt does. So she felt small in front of him, her husband, and also her in-laws. So she cannot really feel herself as she is. So unless you deal with guilt, you may and the guilt always draws attack or violence in some ways. Guilt pulls out the violent side of you. So either you punish yourself by saying you're bad, or you attack the people around you with the guilt because you don't want to hold the guilt. So you want to let go of the guilt. So either spank you or spank others.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because I have made some money and I feel like I don't deserve, or I do deserve to have it, but I don't deserve to spend it. That's where guilt comes from.
Yes, exactly. So guilt-free money is such an important part of happy money that I teach about. Otherwise, if you have guilt, you cannot enjoy life.
You're familiar with the Stoic school of philosophy, I know. So
yes.
Stoics have this practice called negative visualization, where they say if you visualize something in the future that something bad that could happen, you'll be more prepared to handle it when it does happen, if it does happen. How would you think about negative visualization when it comes to money and handling ups and downs in an economy?
I teach about visualization too, but what's interesting is that if you are forced to not to visualize certain things, you do. So for like young guys, just close your eyes and don't think of naked women or naked men. It's hard.
Right. Yeah.
And then for women, I don't know. I'm not a woman. So, but for a woman, maybe something else. Don't think about sex.
Yeah. Don't think about a white polar bear. Whatever you do, don't think about a white polar bear.
Yes. So I think for whatever that is, if you are told not to think about it, like say, don't think about the White House. You automatically do that. So I don't believe in don't do certain things. So I think the most important thing, once again, go back to this money worries. If you are told not to worry about money, you do. So I think the better way of doing that is shift your attention so you forget. A lot of my students said, Ken, I forgot to worry about money today, so because they were busy with something else. So if your mind is busy with something else, you cannot go back to your worry again. So that's what I think appreciation and love comes in. If you appreciate about money coming in and going out, you cannot worry about money at the same time. That's what my mentor Wahei Takeda told me. Appreciate your money, thank your money when it comes in and thank your money when it goes, when you spend it. And if you do that, you cannot focus on money worries at the same time. So my advice is donate just $1 or quarter to the basket right next to the cashier. You feel more abundant, and you will probably stop worrying about money for that time.
What I hear you talking a lot about is awareness and mindfulness about money and choosing what things to focus on as opposed to being victim to what our brains serve us up based on just the way we're conditioned and evolved to think. And one of the ways to do that is through meditation, which is far more prevalent, I believe, in Japan and with Zen Buddhism than it is in Western cultures. Are there what's a good entry level way to start practicing mindfulness around money and other things in life?
Yeah, so I think at the beginner's level, I think you just close your eyes and just observe what's in your mind, and mostly 80 or 90% are negative ones. You worry that something bad is going to happen, or some sexual fantasy, or whatever that is. Just let it float up in the air, because it's just a little bit like a garbage. And then once like all the garbage, the debris is gone, you can really cool down and go down. And just when the negative one comes up, it's okay. Don't try to erase it. Let it float, because it's one of the possibilities. And at the same time, let the positive one come in. So whenever the negative one comes in, come up with a positive one. Whenever the positive one comes in, come up with a negative one. So it's like Tetris, the negative and the positive. They meet, they erase, they disappear. So I do that all the time. When a negative thought comes in, I come up with something positive. And when I'm positive, I come up with something negative. So I stay neutral all the time. So by doing that, you cannot really focus either on the negative and either on the positive. And if your financial future is bright, it's going to be that way. You don't have to focus on the bright side, because it's going to show up by itself. The future will show up by itself. You don't have to create it. So in other words, if you do the right things, the bright future will come and show by itself. But if you're messing around and just stay negative and just try not to think about negative things, you are likely to get drawn to the wall. So you have to
on the bike.
Yes, you really have to focus. You really have to pay attention to what's in your mind and in your heart too.
As we close, I'd like to spend just a few minutes on the 3 tips that you have to sort of guide us through. Maybe these are 3 good things for our listeners to keep in mind when they find themselves drifting toward the negative, drifting toward the wall. And the first one is live in gratitude.
And the first one, and after that, I think if you just if you can pay much attention to what's going on inside, you let it pass. If negative thought comes in, let it pass. And if positive thought comes in, let it pass. So you just let all the thoughts pass through you, so you can be empty, and also you can be more calm. You find peace of mind because you're not either positive or negative. And the third step will be let whatever happens become your reality. The happy people are ready to accept whatever is going to happen. Unhappy people want certain way, like I want only positive results. So as a result, you get disappointed. So the Zen teaches you no expectation. So if you don't expect anything, the great thing is you don't have to get disappointed. So if the stock goes down, let it be, because you need that much money anyway. And to support the idea of, let it pass and just let reality show by itself is, I think there are certain things that you cannot do to change change the economy, change what's going on in politics, change what's happening next. All you can change is how you react to the reality in front of you. So if you can focus on the reality right now, right in front of you, and no expectation, and it's almost like a chef starts to cook with whatever is given to you. So future is something that it's going to be given to you every day when you wake up in the morning, and how you cook it is what makes your life. You can keep complaining about, I didn't order carrots. I didn't order meat. I'm a vegetarian. If you keep complaining about it, nothing happens. So just cook with whatever is prepared in front of you, and just have fun. Because in a going downtown, it's fun too. Have you been in a roller coaster? Do you want the roller coaster to go up and up and up and never go down? It's not fun. The joy is going down and say, woohoo, I'm so scared, but it's okay because it's going to go back up and we're going to die anyway. So let's enjoy the ride together.
All right. We're going to die anyway and cook with carrots. Those are the lessons.
Right.
That's the takeaway here tonight.
Forget about everything else. Let's enjoy because, I think going down is more fun than going up.
That's great. Ken, where can our listeners find out more about you and your work?
You can find all the information at kenhonda.com. I'm starting to teach in English once a month with this Arigato Living community. You can find all the information there. I'm going to start translating what I have done for the past 20 years, and hopefully you will not stop worrying. You will not worry about money. How about better relationship with money? And I hope you just enjoy life because that's what we are here for.
Well, that's great. I really appreciate it. We'll put links to that in the show notes, Ken. It's great to talk to you again, and I look forward to talking to you again when the book comes out.
Yes, let me know. I'll be happy to just share. And I think next time when we meet, I think the world will be in chaos, and I'm going to talk about how to stop worrying about money then.
Well, the world needs that message. So thanks for all your work. Take care.
Thank you, Paul. And everybody, I'm just sending all my blessings to everybody.
Hey, everybody, if you like what we're up to here at Crazy Money, do us and yourself a favor by following the show on your favorite podcast app and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Also, click the link in the show notes to subscribe to my new Substack, where you'll get bi-weekly thoughts on the role of money in our world and in our lives directly to your email inbox. Thanks for sticking around. We will see you next week.